Aprovecha los DeWalt Deals en Lowe's. Obtén gratis una herramienta DeWalt Selecta de 20 voltios max al comprar un kit de batería de 5 amperios hora y 20 voltios max selecto. Además, lleva gratis una batería adicional DeWalt de 20 voltios y 8 amperios hora al comprar una sierra ingletadora compuesta DeWalt de doble bisel de 10 pulgadas y 20 voltios max. Nuestra mejor selección está aquí en Lowe's. Válido hasta 6/24 hasta agotar existencia. Selección varía por lugar.
911, what's the nature of your emergency?
Welcome back to the Tactical Living Podcast. I'm your host, Ashlie Walton, joined by Sergeant Walton. Clint, how are you?
I'm good.
It's interesting anytime that we see the trends of like different memes and things going around online. And something that I've been noticing lately is the trend of traumatic events that police officers experience versus typical civilians. And you can look it up for yourself, but the number is somewhere around a civilian only having maybe 2 to 4 traumatic events in their lifetime. And for a police officer during their career, they'll experience anywhere between 600 and 1,000. And it got me thinking about how a lot of the times we don't realize what our bodies were designed for and how our bodies have limits to them. And we were never designed to have any kind of sustained difficulties for a very long period of time as we do with law enforcement.
Yeah, I think it's something that we don't truly recognize, and because, you know, we just, it's that old mindset is rub some dirt on it and just keep moving on. But I think it's our bodies start responding over time, especially to being exposed to these traumatic incidents on a regular basis, to where you're not understanding completely, where if you're not recognizing those signs of, you know, the lack of sleep or those bad dreams, or you have healthy or unhealthy kind of practices in your life of being able to support yourself because of those traumatic experiences, you don't always recognize that.
Yeah, you know, I think it's really important for us to discuss the physical price that first responders pay with their bodies, especially over a career and just a standard career. Even if somebody has like a 10-year career, I know of people who have significant issues with their bodies as a result of it. And a lot of people don't talk about the occupational physiological degradation that basically happens when you do choose a career like this.
Yeah. And I think, you know, we think of having our gear and equipment on us, sitting in a patrol car, and we start gauging all that stuff. And it's a predisposed kind of, if you have back problems, like, you can medically retire based off of those back problems because it's that predisposed injury. But there's a lot of stuff I don't think we truly recognize as it has that wear and tear on our bodies. You see a lot of officers, especially like I've noticed a lot of shoulder problems, knee problems, those joint problems, of course, back problems, but I don't think we truly analyze the impact that being exposed to everything throughout our careers actually creates and causes for us.
Yeah. I also see things like cardio issues. I see a lot of gastro issues with police officers, and I think it's really important for us to just know and understand our bodies, first of all. I can tell you for myself, anytime that I'm going too hard and I'm not giving myself the rest that I need, the first thing that I notice is that I carry the stress in my shoulders. My shoulders will start to hurt. And anytime that I know my immune system is down and there's a good chance that I'm about to get sick, I've had reconstructive surgery on my knee 2 times and my knee will start to ache. That's like my first thing. And then anytime that I'm starting to have a flare up with my stomach, my elbows will become very achy. So those are all things that like I could have just dismissed, right? But like really cueing in with yourself and then paying attention is going to give you the keys that you might need in order to be able to prevent things or to be able to stop things in their track moving forward.
Yeah, and that's a perfect example. When you start having those signs that you're able to recognize it's the precursor to those ongoing issues. It's funny because like I've talked with a lot of my partners over time, and they talk about, oh yeah, it's, you know, having having those gastro issues, having high blood pressure, everything like that. And I'm looking and I'm like, well, could it be associated to stress? Could it be associated to diet? And you start breaking it down. And when they start having those same flare-ups, they don't listen to the signs leading up to it. Instead of addressing it before it becomes a problem, they're waiting till the problem's there.
Yeah, and there's a lot of simple remedies to that, right? Having different fermented foods and incorporating yogurt for a week might be something very simple that could help. And a lot of the times too, we start to ruminate on those issues instead of wanting to problem solve for ourselves. And then there are those that, they immediately have to go to the doctor because they think it's the end of the world.
Yeah, I going to doctors, that's a whole other topic, but instead of listening to those signs, instead of finding some remedies of how to help, change your diet, it's that it kind of goes into that saying of, I'm so tired. I didn't sleep good last night and I woke up so early and you start diagnosing, okay, well, what time, how do you want to incorporate more sleep? And they're like, oh, I would do anything. I would give my left leg to be able to get more sleep. And they went to bed at 12 and woke up at 4 a.m. And you said, well, why don't you go to bed earlier? Oh, well, I don't want to do that. And it's figuring out how you can address those problems before they turn into problems, before you're holding on to like this, you having these tools to be able to change that before it gets to that problem.
There are so many ways that I think the job is physically costing first responders more than they actually realize. And of course, we have to talk about shift work, right? Because that's doing literally measurable damage in the long term. Your circadian rhythm is disrupted. You just mentioned working and then sleeping from midnight until 4 and that being only 4 hours. But another thing too is you have this chronic adrenaline exposure and it's basically wearing out the cardiovascular system. I had a really good friend that died this year because of this very thing, working in law enforcement. And so a lot of times too, I think when you have a physical injury and you're working as a first responder, it gets pushed through instead of properly treated a lot of the times. And the body seriously keeps the score long after any of your shift ends.
Yeah. And I think I see a lot of these younger guys, always, they're chasing that adrenaline high. They're chasing that, let me get into the failure to yield or the foot pursuit and doing that on a regular basis. That's because they're always trying to chase that adrenaline high instead of like, of course you want to go out and be proactive, do your job and do it effectively, but don't be chasing that adrenaline high. Chase it as it's all in how you format it and the way you look at things.
Yeah. And, we were talking to somebody yesterday about the literal increase of the death value when you decide to incorporate energy drinks into your regimen. And those who drink it, they're going to be like hardcore against what we're talking about. And then those of us who know the reality, especially after seeing the local sheriff's deputy who died from something similar. And so I think that a lot of people don't realize that when you're introducing other aids to be able to kind of numb the things that you're going through, whether it is something like an energy drink, overdoing it on coffee even, of course, alcohol or otherwise, then that is going to perpetuate all of these things that we're talking about.
Yeah. And I think all of us have, we have our addictions, meaning of caffeine is an addiction. Sugar is an addiction. We incorporate all these things of trying to alleviate the lack of sleep because, I'm working graveyard and I'm not sleeping very good. So I have to ramp up all the coffee or those energy drinks. And we're not looking at the underlying issue of what's actually causing that. That's one thing with Ashlie and I, like our sleep is something, it's a non-negotiable. Like we're going to bed and we're going to sleep until we wake up. And it's funny is like, it's so rare that we ever even have to set an alarm because we have made it so important for us to be able to prioritize that.
Yeah. And, yesterday you were out doing a lot of work in the yard and it was nice. We went to bed at 8:30. We woke up at 4:45 and we got like over almost 8 hours of sleep. And then I look at my Oura ring this morning and it was like, wow, your recovery is fantastic today.
I know.
You got the sleep you needed and I got more than I needed and it was nice for both of us.
And what was funny is like we were watching a movie and I know you looked over at me and I was dozing off on the couch and you said, okay, let's go to bed. And I was just, my body was tired and I didn't fight it. I wasn't like, oh, I gotta stay up, finish this movie. No, let's go to bed when we're tired.
Yeah. And so this is quality sleep that we're talking about. And every hour of quality sleep is doing repair work that the body cannot complete any other way. And it is so important. And I think too, it's important to just take our injuries seriously before they become career ending, because we see that a lot too.
Yeah. It's being able to take care of yourself, whether it's getting the problem diagnosed. And this is the one thing that it kind of drives me crazy with our medical system nowadays is like, they just want to prescribe you a painkiller, or they just want to prescribe you, you fill in the blank here, instead of actually, let's look at the problem and see how we can improve that problem before giving you that painkiller, that prescription to kind of fill that gap.
Yeah, and you talked about sleep being a non-negotiable for us, but another thing too is building in recovery into your schedule with the same discipline that you do as training. Yeah,
when we plan for, if we're working so hard on a regular basis, whether it's working out physically, it's going to work and just hitting the grind on a daily basis, it's filling in those gaps. Sometimes it's okay to sit still, or it's okay to find something that's not mentally draining to you, and being able to find that for yourself is so important for your recovery on the back end.
I hope you've gotten some value out of today's episode. If you have, do us a favor, drop a review, subscribe down below, and as always, know that I'm sending you a long, tight hug from my home to yours.